General Kenneth S Wilsbach, head of the United States, U.S. Pacific Air Force, called China's J-20 stealth fighter jet an aircraft stolen from American technology. According to him, Beijing's aircraft is not a dominant aircraft compared to the F-35 Lightning II and F-22 Raptor stealth fighter jets. General Wilsbach's remarks came at the Air and Space Forces Association's 2023 annual symposium outside Washington, D.C. The only stealth fighter in service with China's People's Liberation Army, PLA, the J-20 first flew in 2011. How many of this type have been produced since then remains unclear, although the best available estimates suggest around 160 to 200 airframes. They've done a great job of plagiarizing. Almost most of the technology of that plane, the J-20, was stolen from the U.S., Wilsbach said. Wilsbach firmly believes that the capabilities of the U.S. aircraft, combined with those of its allies and partners, can counter the potential threat from the J-20. This multinational coalition of partners, the general said, which regularly trains with high-threat scenarios in mind, would prove extremely difficult for any Chinese aircraft to counter. What I will tell you is that if you compare airplane to airplane, you are following the training that our U.S. Air Force personnel get. Interoperability with U.S. allies and partners. China may still be at a significant disadvantage because of the way we train, especially with our ally and partner South Korea, he explained. For China, the fight is China versus us. The US makes their calculations quite easy, but if you make it China versus the US plus other countries, their calculations become quite difficult to do. When I'm thinking about some of the recent exercises that we've done together with our allies and partners like Talisman Sabre, and Northern Edge, and Valiant Shield before, there's been some high-end exercises that have been done in the past. When we're doing some large coalition exercises, the level of complexity is reduced, so that everyone can participate. We don't do that. We make it a sophisticated exercise. If you want to play, you show up and execute, he explained. So I've used the example of last year. In the pitch black exercise, we had almost 20 countries participating in a night-time destruction of high-end surface-to-air missiles. It was very complicated, and all the people who took part, which may surprise some of you, some of the countries that took part in this exercise, but it was very well done and well executed. And we look at it practice by practice, added Wilsbach. Wilsbach also emphasized the potential threat that the J-20 could pose to Taiwanese forces at the symposium, and how Taiwan would defend itself if China intervened militarily in the Taiwan Strait. U.S. military officials have stated that China's PLA may be in a position to successfully carry out a cross-strait intervention by 2027, or even sooner. For Wilsbach, China's threat to Taiwan should not only be linked to the J-20. Taiwan, have to have a system to be able to deter the J-20. By the way, I think the J-20 is limited to Taiwan. What poses a big threat are other planes that could come in and draw their weapons on Taiwan, like their H-6 bombers, and not to mention all the ballistic missiles and cruise missiles. So, if I were Taiwan, I wouldn't be too worried about the J-20 at this point, Wilsbach said. But there are many other things that they also need to maintain so that they don't become the tough targets we talked about earlier. This statement is quite appropriate because Taiwan's most advanced fighter aircraft is the F-16V, with the addition of a new Viper under construction. Other upgrades are underway for other fighters in its inventory. The island's growing land and sea-based integrated air defense is also a factor influencing this. As Wilsbach himself pointed out, his latest assessment of the J-20 is generally in line with comments he made at a similar annual symposium in 2022. At the event, the general said, "The J-20 will not let us lose any sleep. But, of course, we are watching them, China, closely and seeing how they operate," he said. That viewpoint was supported by Air Force Chief of Staff General Charles Q. Brown, who also spoke at the 2022 symposium. "I'm like General Wilsbach. The J-20 isn't something to waste, but I'll pay attention to it.